Hey everybody, this is Alex and Donnie from Be a Real Gamer, bringing you a special edition of our Builder's Guide. Uh, this week we've got a $600 budget build for Battlefield 4. So if you guys are looking to build something for the upcoming Battlefield 4 game, this is something that you might want to keep in mind.
Now, I guess we should open up in explaining why we chose some of these parts. I mean, Donnie, if you want to do a little bit of an explanation how Battlefield is different from most games.
I mean, um, Battlefield, DICE usually likes to develop on the bleeding edge, you know? So they'll utilize a lot of stuff that maybe other game developers don't utilize. A lot of people will say, well, you don't really need multiple cores for gaming. All you need is a dual core. Uh, 8 cores are useless, something like that. With Battlefield, that's not really true. Battlefield, DICE really, they will tax every one of those cores if you've got them. So the more, the merrier. Um, which will explain our CPU choice for this budget build. Um, that and you might want to have an extra amount of RAM. Most budget gaming builds will have about 4 gigs of RAM because most people will say all you need is 4 gigs to play video games. And while that is usually true, Battlefield 4 is a 64-bit enabled title, so it can actually allocate more memory. So if you've got more memory and memory is cheap, might as well. Um, and I guess that's really it. Those are the things that really make Battlefield different than most other PC games. Um, excuse me, fighting off a cold. Um, and so starting off with the CPU, um, me and Alex, we talked about this and we decided that for this price point, the best CPU to go with would be the AMD FX 6350. That is a 3.9 gigahertz 6-core processor. About 125 bucks right now at Newegg. So really good deal if you're in the US. Um,
I mean,
which, by the way, all these prices are for the US. It's hard to say with other countries. Canada will be similar, but Europe, UK, it's going to be a little more difficult.
I mean, if you really want to build for Battlefield 4, just go ahead and throw it up in the comments, the country you live in, and some of the stuff that you're trying to get. Um, we'll try to do the best we can to help you out.
Yeah. So that for the processor. Motherboard, we went with the Asus M5A97LE R2.0, and we'll throw up some pictures and links for that so you can easily get to it. That board is about 72 bucks right now. Really good AMD 970 board. Overclocks well, really just high quality board, has all the features you need, does crossfire, stuff like that. It's not gonna be the end all be all of motherboards, but for this price, it's pretty good. Um, and for the RAM, we've got a Corsair Vengeance 8 gigs, DDR3 1866.
It's
That's
also low
two.
profile, so
Yes.
you can fit all the CPU coolers you want and not have to
Yep.
worry about your RAM getting hit by it.
Yeah. And it's 2 sticks of 4, so you can always expand to 16 if you feel like you need to, and you get that dual channel functionality. So that's $65, not too bad. You also buying that RAM will give you a discount with I believe it's the video card ratios here. So um, we'll get to that in a minute. But going back to the CPU cooler we talked about earlier, with this build we're actually going with the Fantex PH-TC12DX. It's a pretty good. I believe it's 120 millimeter cooler, right?
Yeah, it's 120 millimeter, two fans. It's a little brother
Yeah.
to Donnie's current cooler. One thing I will say is you might notice at the end there'll be something like BL, BK, BC. Those
Yeah,
are
those
all
are
just
color
the
codes.
colors. That's all that is. So
That's
that there is no difference in any of them. Just they match your case.
Yeah, that's 49.99 on Amazon. So pretty good deal, $50 for a cooler. If you'd prefer liquid cooling, you could probably go with something like an H60, I guess, right? H50, H60. Um,
Yeah, at that price you could do an H60,
yeah,
but
but
you'd get a lot
I
worse
honestly think
cooling performance.
yeah, I think you get a lot more cooling performance for the Fantex, and it's also a little less dangerous. You don't have any liquid in your computer. Um,
So for the storage drive, we have a Western Digital Caviar Blue 1 terabyte for $59 at NCIX. It's a very good cooler. It's a very good hard drive. I've used one of those personally for about what 3 years now, and
Yeah.
I've done builds for customers with them constantly. It's a very solid drive, and it does what it's supposed to.
I mean, it's a
They have a
mechanical
really
hard
low.
drive. It's
Yep.
$60, under $60, 1 terabyte. I mean, really, you can't
For
go wrong.
for the price to performance, it's fantastic, and they're really reliable drives.
Video card, which is probably the most important part of any build when you're talking about a
Mm-hmm.
gaming rig. We really wanted to go with something a little not like the bare minimum. We wanted you to have something that can actually play the game pretty well at 1080p.
Mm-hmm.
So for playing this game at 1080p, we decided to go with the XFX Radeon HD 7870. That's got 2 gigs of VRAM. It's $149.99 at Newegg, but you get that's because of that combo discount with the RAM. That's why one of the reasons why we chose that RAM is it was a good price for 8 gigs. Plus, you get $30 off on your video card.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really, pretty good deal. Um, so with that now we're on to the I guess the case. Um, Case here we went with the Corsair 300R. It's $50 at Newegg.
It's a
Pretty
pretty
good
good
case.
case.
If I mean for $50, if you don't like that case, obviously the cases are a matter of preference. You can probably go with something like a Cooler Master 912 or you know just whatever you really want. But that's a good one that you can start with.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Um,
some NZXT cases that are at that price range. There's some Big Phoenix cases. There's a bunch of cases at that price range, but it's a really nice case for the price. It's normal like a what like an $70-$80 case, Donnie.
yeah. For power supply, we went with the EVGA 600B. That's a 600 watt, 80 plus bronze certified power supply. It will do crossfire depending on the setup. Uh, it's just a good overall power supply. It's not the best you can get, but it's $30. And I mean, I don't think you're getting a better power supply for $30. If you're not comfortable with that power supply, you could probably give a little more and get something better. But to reach this budget, I think this it'll do the job. And I've used it before in numerous builds. Never had a problem. So
I mean, I'm pretty sure that'll be completely fine. I don't think you could put a second video card in with that, the second 7870 in there, but it'll do what you need. The motherboard, besides that, can't really use a second video card properly either.
that
It's a
motherboard,
or no, no, I'm sorry. This one was
no,
DualX 8.
no, that's that can,
Okay, well, anyways, the point is for $30, it's a hell of a power supply. It's 80 plus bronze, which
and it's got I think a 5 year warranty. So I
hmm
mean, if it does go
it,
out, EVGA will give you a new one.
it's made by EVGA. EVGA stands behind their stuff, so there's not much to worry about with that thing.
Yeah,
You,
I don't believe EVGA manufactures it, but you know they put their name on it. They don't put their name on just anything.
I mean, at this point, I think it's too early to judge exactly what it should run at, but you should be able to get high with that at 1080p. Maybe
Yeah,
lowering some of the maybe not have the anti-aliasing turned up all the way.
yeah, it's hard to say, but because you're it's an I mean, first of all, it's an AMD card, and Battlefield likes AMD cards. It was developed on it. It uses the Mantle API, so
Does it?
yes, it does. So the 7870 should run the game pretty well. I know in the beta I was running with a 680, and I mean it was a little hiccupy, but I was getting 60 frames per second on
I
I
had some
think
nightmares with it, but
higher
there's
settings.
there's a couple of reasons for that.
But it's the beta. You can't really base it off of
Mm-hmm.
anything. But like I said, you should be able to play on high with the 7870 at 1080p. Maybe a little less on the anti-aliasing side or something like that. The final price on this is 583.91, so just under $600. You can go ahead and use that other $17 to I don't know, maybe buy a disk drive if you really felt like you need one, or I don't know.
Something.
Yeah,
I guess that can go towards your mouse or keyboard or whatever that might be.
yeah,
But yeah, so that is before tax. So since we
that's true
don't
too.
really calculate tax,
It's hard to calculate tax with online retailers because I don't know where you live. Uh, you, whoever's watching, I'm not the NSA. The NSA could tell you how much tax will cost. But yeah, So it depends. Depending on the state you live in, you might not pay any taxes. Um, I live in Chicago, so for most of these stores, I don't pay taxes. Uh, Alex over here lives in New Jersey, so he pays taxes for Newegg.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe if you see one of the things you could do is if you see a comparable price at a store that isn't in your state, then buy from there so that way you don't have to pay the taxes. Or you could pay the taxes and help out Uncle Sam. I don't know.
Eh, I don't know about that.
And if you want something a little more powerful, you could check out our other video. We're going to be doing another build for $900 budget, so check that out.